truck.
Good evening, I'm political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged, and we are still nearly 2 years away from the next election, but some candidates, they're already off and running. So we caught up with U.S. Senate candidate Kelli Ward last week. Now, I know it's really early in 2017, but I want to jump right into your race for the U.S. Senate next year in 2018. And one of the most prominent things listed on your campaign website is, we're through with lying fake conservatives. Now, I'm assuming you're referencing a certain Arizona senator, correct?
Yes, among others. You know, there are a lot of Republicans in name only who are currently, well, rhinos, if you want to go that far, yes, Republicans in name only who are currently serving in Washington, D.C. People who try to sell us on their conservative values, on their love for small government and low taxes and personal responsibility. And then when they get there, they kind of sell us out. And I think that people are sick of it.
Now, you are running a primary race against Jeff Flake, longtime congressman, freshman senator right now. But what has he done that has made him a Republican in name only, in your opinion?
Well, you know, he's been there for almost 18 years. I think that's plenty of time for anybody to be in Washington. One of the most egregious things that he did was he ran as a true conservative, fiscal and social. And within about 2 weeks of getting into the United States Senate, he cozied up to John McCain, he got under his wing, and he joined the Gang of Eight amnesty bill. He pushed for amnesty. He's an open borders amnesty senator. He will never support President Trump and his efforts to secure our border. And so, you know, people don't want that. They know that Jeff Flake was one of the biggest never-Trumpers, both before the election, after he became the nominee, and unfortunately after he got into the White House.
Yeah, but, you know, the Gang of Eight bill, I mean, somebody would obviously push back against that and say, well, what would you do with the millions of illegal immigrants that are living here right now? I mean, would you deport them all? Because, you know, that bill, a lot of people would say it was an amnesty because it gave them, you know, there were mechanisms that they would have to go through to get legal status here in this country. It was going to beef up border enforcement there. All things I'm sure that you would support.
Well, it certainly is, or was, an amnesty bill. It was a bill to allow people who broke our laws to break into our country to benefit from their bad behavior. And, you know, we've heard we must have a pathway to citizenship. Guess what? We've got a pathway to citizenship. People need to get on it. I will tell you that I would separate the people who are here from border security. We must secure the border first. Border security is national security. It's also national sovereignty. And so until we secure that border, we can't discuss what we're going to do with the people who are here. We have to secure the border first and foremost.
Okay, but so would you support deporting all the illegal immigrants here in the country right now then?
I think we certainly need to prioritize how we're doing that, because right now we're basically saying, well, we can't send people who broke our laws home. We just simply don't have the manpower. There's no other law that we do that with. We don't say, oh, well, there's too many people cheating on their taxes. We just can't enforce it. There's too many people speeding on the road, so we're just going to stop enforcing the law. We have laws on the books. We need to enforce them so that we are a sovereign, safe nation.
Now, you criticized Mr. Flake for criticizing President Donald Trump during the primaries, during the general election and whatnot. Now, we've seen that Mr. Trump has been in office now for you know, over 100 days is what the rumor is.
A little over 100, right?
So, but you know, he said that one of his key campaign promises was he's going to build a big, beautiful wall. Now, it looks like it's not going to be a big, beautiful wall. It's going to be maybe a little bit more fencing, maybe some more virtual stuff down there, and maybe some beefed up security. Are you happy with what you've seen out of this administration so far?
I hear Donald Trump still saying that he is going to build a big, beautiful wall. I still hear him saying that, but I also hear him saying that we are going to utilize an above-all strategy to secure the border, and that includes a physical barrier. It includes utilizing technology to its fullest. It includes empowering our Border Patrol to do the job that they were hired to do. Under Barack Obama, they were handcuffed. They weren't able to secure the border. They weren't able to enforce our laws. And now, thankfully, under President Trump, they're able to do just that.
And what would you grade President Trump's first 100 days?
I'll give him an A. I give him an A. I do. You know, has he done everything that I wish that he had done? No, of course, with the health care bill, I would have loved to see a full repeal bill. Not repeal in name only, Rhino Care. We wanted full repeal. Now, we couldn't get it. The Freedom Caucus said this is the best we can do, and unfortunately, I believe them. I believe this is the best we can do. There are some good things in that health care bill. I worry that the Senate is going to come in and gut it.
Now, if you had your way, what would you do with Obamacare right now?
Well, of course, I have the patient power plan. It is a plan to increase the free market and allow the free market to work without the hindrances of the government and other outside forces. It is basically based on health savings accounts and catastrophic care coverage so that people can have buy-in to their health care. And also, I mean, one of the things that they did in the health care bill, returning the power of Medicaid, over Medicaid, to the states. That needs to be done so that we can control costs.
I was going to, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
I was going to say that one of the key questions or concerns here in Arizona is, would you defund or cut any funding for Medicare, Medicaid here in Arizona? A lot of people on those programs.
Well, if you remember, I was opposed to Medicaid expansion when I was in the Arizona State Senate, and because I think it's the biggest expansion of health care welfare that we are ever going to see in our lifetime to healthy, able-bodied, working-age, childless adults. It's also an assault on our health care freedom and our health care liberty. That's through Obamacare, because Medicaid expansion is definitely one of the tenets of Obamacare. And so, you know, we've seen in Arizona as of September, we have huge numbers of people that are on the Medicaid expansion program. We were told it was going to be about 247,000 by that time. It's 347,000 as of September.
What about pre-existing conditions? Where are you on that? Would you get rid of those and put maybe someone with a pre-existing condition in a higher risk pool?
I think the high risk pool is a great idea. If you look at Iowa, there is a patient there that costs $1 million a month. So $12 million a year for one person. That simply is not going to work across the board if that's what we're having.
That's an extreme example, though.
Well, it is, but there are lots of extreme examples across the 50 states. And so having those high-risk pools, I think, is very important. But allowing the states to determine what they want to do, I think, is the best course of action rather than having federal intervention.
Okay, let's bring you back here to Arizona, because a lot of, you know, a lot of senators, they go off, they deal with these big, you know, spending bills, a lot of big issues like that. What are you going to be doing for Arizona? And I want you to be specific. I don't want to hear any like broad, like we're going to create jobs and we're going to bring more sunshine or whatever it is that you want to say to the state.
I don't have that much power.
I want to hear something very specific. That if you go to Washington, what are you going to bring back?
Right. Well, I don't think it should be about what kind of pork do we bring back from Washington. I think that people are pretty sick of that. They're sick of paying taxes to the federal government and then having them return to the states and the localities with many federal strings and hooks attached to them. I think that we should be returning a lot of the power to the states. I would love to see this overbearing, overreaching, overtaxing, overregulating federal government, centralized federal government, significantly decreased in size. And the only way we do that is by restoring the proper balance between the federal government and the state governments and letting the states do what they do best, which is take care of the people.
One person's pork is another person's bacon. It used to be they bring the bacon back. In some projects, they bring jobs and they bring economic growth. I mean, the CAP, you know, that was pork barrel spending. That was an earmark, and that has really helped the growth here in the valley since that was put in place. Are there any specific projects or ways that you could get some more development here in Arizona?
Well, you know, I think that the most important thing is to lower the taxes across the board, both personal and corporate taxes. I love what President Trump has proposed with a 15% corporate tax rate, which will make it one of the lowest in the world. Businesses will relocate to the United States, and I think that Governor Ducey and the legislature has done a pretty darn good job, including myself when I was in the legislature just a couple of years ago, in creating a business-friendly environment here in Arizona where people want to come, want to thrive, want to grow their families and their businesses. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. People will come to Arizona.
Okay, what do you think is the biggest threat facing Arizona right now?
Illegal immigration and the open border. It's affecting every aspect of our society, from health care to education to public safety to corrections. It's affecting our very American culture, our very American way of life, and it's a threat not only in Arizona but to the entire nation.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's all the time we have, and I want to thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate it.
And you may have seen some new billboards around town promoting equality. We'll talk about that just ahead. But first, political producer Jay Crandall gives us a closer look at why some businesses, or more businesses, are starting to step up and support gay rights.
For people under 40, the support for LGBT rights is not just robust. people don't think that supporting LGBT equality is controversial.
During a recent Valley visit, Rachel B. Tiven with Lambda Legal said a change in attitude among young adults is helping drive businesses to take a more proactive stance when it comes to LGBTQ rights. She says evidence of that can be seen in how many companies boycotted North Carolina over a law banning transgender people from using the bathroom of their choice.
Telling people they're not welcome is bad for business, and business reacts and says, don't do this. We don't want to alienate our customers. We don't want to alienate our employees. We don't want to alienate people who are going to travel here for pleasure or for business.
She believes citizens and businesses saw the law as a bigger issue than bathrooms.
It's not about what bathroom you use. It's about saying to people, you're not welcome here and we don't want you here. We don't want to see you. We wish you'd go away. And this is as near as we can get to making you go away, right? Because if you can't use the bathroom in a public place, you can't go to the movie theater, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to the mall.
Even though North Carolina has repealed that law, Tiven says it is not clear exactly what the replacement means.
The governor and the attorney general have said in the course of our litigation that this means that you are now free to use the right bathroom without harassment. But we are hearing from state legislators and city council members in cities in North Carolina that absolutely people are barred from the bathroom. That's what I was told this means.
But, she says, a recent ruling in the U.S. 7th Circuit Court is helping clarify laws for the LGBTQ community nationwide.
If you're fired because you're gay, that's sex discrimination.
Closer to home, she says LGBTQ workers in Arizona are protected from employment discrimination by executive order. But other portions of Arizona law trouble her.
One of the very troubling pieces of state legislation is a law that bans health classes in school from saying anything about LGBT people.
But again, she believes it will be young people who drive change.
And that's not something that kids think is controversial. So the education that they get should keep up with that reality.
I'm political producer Jay Crandall, and more Politics Unplugged is just ahead.
AZFamily.com, now powered by 3TV and CBS 5. Your one-stop digital destination for all things Arizona. The all-new AZFamily.com, now powered by 3TV and CBS 5.
It's time for our Super Memorial Day event here at American Furniture Warehouse. American Furniture Warehouse is your one-stop shop for furniture and accessories this Memorial Day. Come in and take advantage of these amazing bargains on our latest selection of patio furniture to spruce up your outdoor living space. We pride ourselves on delivering the best value to all our customers. We run on low margins, not high markups, so we can stock furniture for less and pass the savings on to you. Come on by and check out our latest in-stock selections at the lowest prices anywhere, anytime.
Hi, I'm Todd Sanders with the Greater Phoenix Chamber of Commerce. Economic development is critical to Arizona. We're uniting the Valley's top business leaders to help our economy. Make an investment in your business. Join the Chamber today.
You can drive a truck, or you can team up with one. The 2017 Nissan Titan. Go the extra mile in a truck that has better acceleration, handling, and braking than Ford F-150. Take on any job. The newly redesigned family of Titans, featuring America's best truck warranty. 5 years, 100,000 miles, bumper to bumper. Get a low $259 per month lease on the 2017 Titan, or save up to $11,760 on Titan XD.
To err is human. To anticipate is the Lexus RX. With pedestrian detection, auto braking, and lane departure alert, standard. Experience another step closer to a safer world.
Lease the 2017 RX 350 for $419 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. We now turn our attention to some billboards you may have seen around town promoting equality, specifically when it comes to the LGBTQ rights. And here to talk about this campaign is Angela Hughey from One Community and Katee Van Horn from GoDaddy. Thank you both for joining us here today to talk a little bit about this. Now, Angela, let's start with you. What is the point of this whole campaign? What's the objective?
Well, we really wanted to have a public education campaign about the fact that in the state of Arizona, it is not unlawful to discriminate against people who are gay and transgender in employment, housing, or public accommodations, and we just know that we can do better than that. We know that if we want to have a sustainable state and a bright future, we should truly be welcoming and open for business to everyone.
Now, I thought public attitudes were changing towards towards this community. Is this something that's still really needed?
I think it absolutely is, and for GoDaddy, it's really about making sure that we are inclusive of our employees, not just inside work, but when they're out in the community as well. We want them to feel comfortable and feel safe, regardless of where they are in the state.
Yeah, and one of the interesting parts about this campaign is that the business community has been drafted to take part in this. Why did GoDaddy get involved?
For us, it's just like I said. We want to have a safe community for our employees when they're in our buildings and also when they go out to lunch or when they want to have a special occasion in their life, that they're able to really engage with the community and not be turned away because of their sexual orientation.
Now, are you finding it easier now to get businesses to get involved in campaigns like this than, let's say, 5, 10, 15 years ago?
Well, it's certainly an easier conversation. So, we launched the Unity Pledge in February of 2013, and we've now had over 22 businesses and organizations take the pledge, over 11,000 Arizonans. It's the largest equality pledge in the nation now. And that public education campaign, which is directly tied to our billboards, the fact that we'll have a cup of coffee with anyone, we'll meet you where you're at, and we want to educate people about why treating people fairly should be a core value for all Arizonans. It's definitely an easier conversation, but we have work to do because we're not there yet.
And obviously, public attitudes have changed, and they've changed rather quickly. But let's like say you could get in a time machine, go back in time, as it were, and maybe 10, 15 years ago. Do you think you'd have this kind of support that you have today?
I think that having gay and transgender people come out and tell their stories has been so important in moving this dialogue along. The reality is everyone knows now that they know someone who's gay or transgender, whether it's a person that's in their family or somebody that they work with. So it's really important that the LGBT community comes out, and it's a continual dialogue. So certainly we've moved the dialogue. We're not in the same place we were 10 to 15 years ago, but we're not where we need to be yet either. So we've got some more work to do.
Okay, now we heard a little bit just a minute ago from Rachel B. Tiven from Lambda Legal. Now I want to play this bite from her and get your reaction on the other side of this.
Change is driven by the marketplace, right? It's driven by companies that want to attract top talent and that have seen that if you're a really talented gay engineer, you're going to go work for a company that treats you and your family equally, and you're not going to work for a company that doesn't.
You're from GoDaddy. I mean, maybe respond to that.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why we signed the Unity Pledge. We really wanted to show our employees and future candidates and future employees that this is a place where you can do the best work of your lives and you can be yourselves, and you're going to feel included and you're going to feel comfortable being at GoDaddy. All
right. Now, how long is this campaign you guys planning to do this?
It'll run through the end of May. So it's an 8-week campaign, 16 total billboards. We expect 28 million impressions. So we hope that we provoke really thoughtful conversation about the Arizona that we should be.
And do you think now in the future businesses are going to be getting more politically active in these types of issues here?
I think absolutely. We want to do the right thing. We want to make sure that we are an inclusive company ourselves. But I think all companies are being called to action to say, where is your stance on these different things as they're trying to attract top talent? It's no longer just, hey, what job am I going to do when I go there? It's, what is your stance on some of these very charged issues? People want to work for a company that does the right thing.
Okay, and I'll give you the final word on this whole thing. Then we got to take a quick break.
Join us, right? If you haven't taken the pledge, go to openaz.com and join GoDaddy and thousands of Arizonans and take the Unity Pledge and say that we should be open and welcoming to everyone.
All right. Thanks a lot. Like I said, though, we do have to take a quick break, but we have lots more to talk about here on Politics Unplugged. Just ahead, did a Mesa councilman's wife make a DUI stop even worse? Did the White House fumble the firing of FBI Director James Comey? More Politics Unplugged just ahead.
As a victim of an automobile accident, you are the underdog. These are billion-dollar insurance companies that have unlimited resources at their disposal to resolve your claim for as little money as possible.
Murder and rope is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
This is all that was left from my accident. And that wasn't even the worst part. Whew, the pain in my neck and back was gnarly.
Nobody plans to be in an accident, but unfortunately they happen. If you're suffering a pain, call Emergency Chiropractic. They will treat you with no deductibles, no copays, and no out-of-pocket costs.
And now, I feel great.
Emergency Chiropractic, the kind of care you want today.
Buckle up.
Universal Technical Institute is now training students for future positions in the transportation industry. If you have a passion for putting machines to the test, UTI is ready for you with over $15 million in sponsored scholarships this year. We build our programs with the leading names in the business so you can learn the professional skills you need in classrooms like these. Visit uti.edu to find out about programs, campuses, and financial aid. Contact us today to enroll.
We can do any job, and we're the cheapest in town.
Cheap!
So call today and get a free sandwich!
A lot of companies have some pretty ridiculous offers. At Parker & Sons, we're affordable, but never cut quality or offer something you don't need. If you want quality work at a fair price, call Parker for all your plumbing, heating, cooling, and drain cleaning needs.
And I promise there'll be no Melvins on your job.
Call 602-2-REPAIR to get it done.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? You make it look out for those who don't always look out for themselves. You make it detect what they don't. Stop. Sorry. You make it for 3 rows of precious cargo. Going further for whatever life throws at you. Let's try again. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand.
If an individual is unable to come to our offices, although we have them spread out around the valley for convenience, but if they're unable to come to us, we can come to them.
Murder and rope is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. It is now time to talk it out with our partners from First Strategic. And with us today, Kurt Davis and Marcus Dellartino. And I want to start with the legislature. Passed the budget this week, and we want to talk about winners and losers. But first of all, we do have to correct something from last week. It was incorrectly stated that Senator Steve Farley, Democrat from Tucson, had voted against the university bonding package when, in fact, he did vote for that component. So with that being said, I want to move on and let's talk a little bit about the budget here. Winners, losers. Marcus, let's start with you. Who are the big winners?
Well, first of all, I'm the one who said it, so I'm probably the loser, but he was very gracious in my apology to him, and he's a good man, a good public servant, and I appreciate him being a gentleman about it. But, you know, clearly you got to say the governor's a winner in this budget. You know, almost his entire opening session speech was adopted, so reflected at least somewhere in that budget. And so I think from that standpoint, you've got to give him the big win. Yeah, and you can't forget, too, I mean, he's in election mode at this point now. Because next time the legislature meets, it's going to be an election year. How does this set the table for him as he runs for re-elect?
Well, I think what it'll do is, remember, too, this is a governor now that has spent the most money on education in our state's history, and he's going to be rolling into a 3rd year, and where I believe he'll probably be proposing additional education. He said this is a long-haul deal, and you know, he's going to have more to come on that. But the bottom line is Arizona spending more on education today than it ever has. Well, the bottom line is, though, that there is a teacher shortage in Arizona, and this is not going to do anything necessarily to really solve that at this point, because we're seeing 2,000 teacher vacant jobs right now. A lot of teachers I'm talking to are feeling like, well, we only got a 2% raise. We wanted 4%. Not going to help. I know. I wanted a 25% raise this year, and Kurt wouldn't give it to me. Well, to be fair, it's a lot different. I mean, a 2% raise, does that even keep up with cost of inflation? Listen, the money's the money. But I will tell you this. Before everybody gets too exercised over this, this isn't the end of the show.
I firmly believe that there will be a big investment in education in the future, and by in the future I mean before the next election.
The art of the deal is to make sure that money that is appropriated actually gets to the teachers. That's part of this deal. So there has to be a good faith bargain on the other side, which is the money actually gets delivered in these teachers' paychecks. Second is you're absolutely right. And do most Arizonans buy the notion that teachers should make more money? Absolutely, especially if you've been fortunate enough to have your kids taught by these wonderful public servants. I think the governor, you know, again, this comes in pieces. He was left with an education system that's been starved for a long time. It's going to take a while to get it back to full
And Dennis, to that
throttle.
point, what's this budget say? This budget, the reflection of this budget is that times are turning around, okay? We're gone are the days of slashing $1.9 billion from a state budget, which were draconian cuts that had to be done. But this shows that the times are turning around. It's time to start making an investment, and I think the future years are going to be better.
Okay, now on Sunny Day Night, there's always a lot of last-minute things that are happening. Now, Marcus, I know you were down there watching this. What were some of the interesting happenings that you noticed on that last day? Because there were a lot of interesting bills that were slipped in there.
Yeah, you know, let's be honest, all of them were about the budget agreement, okay? So to get the budget passed, we had to make, you know, some bills pass through the process. But for me, personally, the most interesting one was watching the Intel bill sort of squeak through, which was a tax cut that's based on their investment in Chandler. But the Democrats were really having some gut-wrenching over voting for that one based on the fact of teacher pay. And I certainly understood the
I was going to say, it wasn't Intel and the business community always the ones saying, hey, let's increase teacher pay, let's increase money to education.
It was, and
they're asking for a big tax cut.
And that was the fun part about watching the circular argument occur.
But it's not a zero-sum game. If you're not growing the economy, you will not have money to pay teachers. I mean, it's just simple math. And people think that you can just put the bill on somebody tomorrow. If you just put the bill on business, you're going to end up with less revenue.
All right. Now, I want to move from the state now. We're going to go over to the local level here, particularly over into the East Valley, when Mesa City Councilman was arrested on suspicion of drunk driving, and during that DUI stop, things got pretty interesting over there. I want to show you a little clip of this. And on the other side, I'm going to ask you if his wife made the situation worse for the councilman, or better, or none at all.
You guys are literally towing and arresting the only council person that's supporting you guys in the union. Like, seriously, he's the only guy, and I understand that he shouldn't be drinking or whatever, but when you guys come and ask him for, you guys should also understand that he will not vote for your vote.
Well, there you go. Maybe one way not to handle a DUI stop.
Pull out the toaster.
But basically pulling out the not that so much do you know who I am, is the do you know who he is card, right?
Which, by the way, I mean, the irony is he got pulled over in Tempe. They've never asked him, a Mesa City councilman, for anything, so it makes it an awkward situation. I was a little surprised, frankly, there's a Mesa City councilman that drinks. I mean, that's what I
He's
toast.
toast. I mean,
toast.
He's toast.
Okay.
This is a second offense. If he's convicted, it's a second offense. And having your wife asking a police officer to do political favors for you, or criminal favors in a criminal issue, that he's not going to survive.
But also, don't forget, he told the officer he hadn't been drinking in addition to that, so it's a pile on.
Okay, and I know the world is waiting for you guys to weigh in on this, but the whole world is already talking about this. Donald Trump, his firing of the FBI, James Comey. I was waiting for that reaction, Marcus. We almost got through a show without mentioning Donald Trump's name. Did he fumble this quickly? We got about 30 seconds.
No, because the Democrats, everybody in the country in the political spectrums have said this guy needed to be fired. He definitely fumbled the timing and the delivery, no doubt. But the actual firing, no.
This is an FBI director that got up in front of America and talked about how charges against Hillary would not meet a standard for a prosecutor. He's not the prosecutor. This guy is committed and fumbled on multiple occasions. Timing, you can argue, but on the backside of that is a president looked at somebody himself and then got recommendations from line staff, and they made a decision.
I'm going to have to cut you off there, but that is all the time we have tonight. But be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged.
Are you in the right